Chapter 7 Tsvetnoi Boulevard. The side of the raft jostled against a drowned man. He was dangling with his hunched back upward, feeling at the bottom with his hands. He'd lost something there, probably. Artyom felt sorry for him. He'd very nearly managed to swim all the way to Tsvetnoi. Or was it that he hadn't gotten very far when he bolted from it? "How are the freaks at your place?" Artyom pretended it wasn't him they were picking at the questions. He kept quiet, but they didn't give up. "Hey friend, it's you I'm talking to. I said, how are things with freaks at Alexievskaya?" "Okay." "Okay, what does that mean? There are some you've killed, or you've killed all yours?" "We haven't got any freaks." "Yes you do, they're everywhere, my friend. They're like rats. You've got to have some. They lurk, the bastards." "I'll bear it in mind. But they won't be able to hide forever. We'll find out who they are. Every last one of them, the animals. We'll work it out. Use the ruler and the compasses on all of them. Right, Bilyash?" "Spot on. There's no place for freaks in the metro. They've got no air to breathe ourselves." "They don't just eat mushrooms, they eat our mushrooms. Ours, get it? Mine and yours. There won't be any room in the metro for our children, because theirs will take it all up. It's got to be us or them. Us normal people have got to hold the line, because those animals stick together." A hand was placed on Artyom's shoulder, in comradely fashion. The first one, puffy, bags under his eyes, a little wedge beard, hands swollen up with excess water. The second one, covered in finely worked gunpowder tattoos. Pockmarked face, forehead 2-finger breadths wide. The third one, a shaven-headed goon with a single fused black eyebrow. He definitely wasn't an Aryan. The other two melted into the darkness. "People are like pigs, get it? They've got their snouts stuck in the trough, grunting away. As long as someone pours swill in for them, everyone's happy. No one wants to think. Know what the Führer hooked me with? He says, think with your own head. If there are already answers for everything, that means someone got them ready for you. You've got to ask questions, got it?" "And have you already been in the Reich before?" asked Artyom. "I have," said the pockmarked one. "Passing through, it really got to me because everything's right. It all falls into place. You think, fuck it. Where have I been until now?" "Spot on," the shaven-headed one confirmed. "Everyone has to start with himself, with his own station, with some little thing. Start with some little thing, just like running through his neighbors, at least. Heroes aren't born." "And they're here. They're everywhere. They have this kind of mafia in their own. They keep each other along. Don't let normal people in." "That Riga, you won't believe it. No matter how hard you struggle, it's like banging your head against a wall," Lyulka remarked. "Is that because of them, then? What do they look like, at least?" "Sometimes they get it. They conceal themselves so well, you can't tell them from a human being. You have to scratch a bit." "It's a shame not everyone catches on." The puffy-faced, shaven-headed one supported him. "I've started figuring out who the freaks are at our station. Basically, not all the people are ready yet." He rubbed his jaw. "Some even interbreed with them. How's that for filth? The main thing to remember them all of them who have raised their hand against our folk, who have strangled our kind, the time will come." "I say, come along with us." The pockmarked one just wouldn't take his hand off Artyom's shoulder. "As a volunteer, join the Iron Legion. You're one of us. You are one of us, aren't you?" "No, guys, we're dummies when it comes to politics. We're going to the whorehouse." Artyom really felt like he was choking, and that hand was burning through his turtleneck sweater. At any moment now, there would be a whiff of scorched wool. He wanted to wriggle out from under that hand like an adder. But where to? "Now isn't that a shame? He's invited to save the metro and he sticks his snout back in his trough. Have you even thought about the reason why we've ended up in this situation? Have you thought at all about how we human beings are going to survive it all? With your own head, of course. You fucking haven't. Just want to visit the whores. You're interested in harlots, but the future of the nation doesn't bother you." "Get that armor plate. Go to hell with it. Maybe he'll Shaft the freak there. Yuck. Hey, Granddad, maybe you at least. In your old age, it's time to think about your soul. You should be normal. Or have you got a little spot of cancer? They say the Fury quitted. No, brother. They'll get the Iron Legion together, and then, for now, we'll do a bit of training. And then we'll come back and remind all these animals. We'll take a trek through the metro again, on the march. What's this Iron Legion, then? Nyoka couldn't resist asking. A volunteer force, for our kind. Them as are trodden down by the freaks. That's me. Oh, there it is. Quiet, we've arrived. Look at that. At Tsvetnoi Boulevard, they were greeted by a searchlight, so they had to approach the station with their eyes screwed up, almost moving blind. Instead of sentries, there were hefty bruisers. They weren't interested in visas or passports, only cartridges. Have you come here to spend money or just drool? We need a doctor. Is there a doctor? They had barely put in the platform before Artyom scrambled out and jerked the broker up by the scruff of the neck. Olejek had already given in and wasn't raving any longer. There were red bubbles coming out of his mouth. The faithful chicken had dozed off on his punctured stomach, so that Olejek's soul couldn't evaporate through the hole. A doctor or a nurse? Cackled the mangled guard, a flattened nose and 2 cauliflower ears. Come on, the man's dying. We can even find you an angel here, too. But he showed Artyom the way after all. Okay, down that way to the doctor. Of course, she deals with social diseases here, so no promises about the bullet. But she'll diagnose clap as quick as a shot. Grab hold, Artyom ordered the broker. The last time, Nyoka warned him. It wasn't me that shot him after all. Nobody needs you, Homer told the unconscious Olejek, taking a grip on one leg. Only the chicken. Yes, by the way, the chicken, said Lyoka. They set off through the station. According to Homer's calculations, it ought to lie even deeper than Mendeleev. However, there's exactly enough water here to turn the tracks into canals, and the platform itself remained dry. In response to Homer's amazement at why this was, Lyoka explained, Well, shit doesn't sink, does it? What Tsvetnoi Boulevard had been like before, there was no way of telling anymore. One single great den of vice had been set up here now, broken up into little cubicles, rooms, and halls separated off by plywood, chipboard, sheets of cardboard, folding screens, blinds, curtains. Tsvetnoi Boulevard had been transformed into an impassable labyrinth, in which all the dimensions were violated. At this station there was no floor and no ceiling. In some places they had managed to squeeze in 2 stories under the roof, and in other places 3. Odd little doors led from narrow, winding corridors into rooms the size of a bed, and other doors exactly like them led into spaces under the platform that were as big as the whole station. And where some of the others led was to anybody's guess. The din here was ferocious. Every room made its own kind of sound, and there were 1,000 rooms. In some they wept, in some they laughed, in some they tried to drown out the screams with lively music, in some they bellowed drunken songs, in some they howled in terror. That was how Tsvetnoi Boulevard's collective voice sounded, like a devil's choir. Well, and the women too, of course. Hoarish angels and stern ones in epaulets, and femme fatales in stockings full of holes, and nurses with naked asses, and simply vulgar sluts without any make-believe, an entire division. As many as could be fitted in. That was exactly how many had been fitted in. All shouting, calling out, exaggerating their charms, trying to lasso your glance, every one of them short of time, just enough for one snake strike with while someone walks past her, just the short half-meter. She hasn't broken the skin, hasn't squirted a love poison into the scratch, that's it, he's gone. He who does not work shall not eat. Nyoka's pain was relieved instantly, as if his wound had actually started healing up, but Homer felt ill at ease here. Only right at the very beginning, when they dived into a twisting and endless corridor, he suddenly jerked his bony neck round farther back than it could possibly wrenched, and after that kept looking round, looking back over his shoulder. What is it, Grandad? Artyom asked him. I keep thinking, all the time I keep thinking. Everywhere, all the time, Homer replied. The squirrel, one who Olzhek's naked legs started slipping away from Homer. Good for Grandad, huh? Nilka panted. Get a better grip. There, that door there. They carried the dying man inside. There was a queue of violated souls and itching bodies, all women. The doctor came out, a woman in thick glasses with a rolled-up cigarette, hoarse-voiced and mannish. He's a goner, the broker informed her just to be on the safe side. So that Olzhek wouldn't stain the reception area with his final trickle of blood, they agreed to take him in hand immediately. They laid him out on a splayed genealogical chair, took a clip of cartridges and advanced in case he croaked anyway, and told the others not to wait. They gave Lyoka alcohol to feed the mouth on his hand, but he was still left in the queue anyway. Here they sit like people, not like professionals, he explained to Artyom, nodding at the sad ladies. Maybe I'll meet the one right for me. Maybe. Well, let's say goodbye. Whatever I could do, I did do, Artyom explained to himself. This time, I did everything I could do. Job done, footloose and fancy-free. Right then, either this way or that way. They were sitting in a little cubbyhole of a room. Close beside them, in a plain and underfed girl about 14 years old was bending and twisting on a pole. She had no breasts at all, and her ribs protruded pitifully, stretching her washed-out body stocking. She kept thrusting her bones into Artyom's bowl of soup, and he felt afraid of offering her by driving her away completely because she didn't have any other clients, and he simply pretended that the pool wasn't there, or the young girl either. Or was that even more offensive to her? Where was a prostitute's pride? In what part of her? He didn't know. The soup was cheap, though, and he needed to watch his money at this stage. The cartridges had been disappeared rapidly, and on nothing. Hanging on the wall was a map of the metro. That was what they were talking about. From Tsvetnoi Boulevard, there were two routes leading onward. One, the straight line onto Chekhov, the other through a connecting passage to Tsvetnoi Square Station, and from there to Tsvetnoi Boulevard. If the map could be believed, you could get to Tsvetnoi by the first way or by the second way, but Artyom couldn't get there either way. The map had been drawn long time ago. The transfer hub, consisting of 3 stations, Chekhov, Pushkin, Tver, was now known by a different name, the Fourth Reich, which was supposedly heir to the Third. Perhaps the will had been forged, or perhaps the Reich really had been reincarnated. A regime can be killed, empires become decrepit and die, but ideas are like a plague. They'll dry up and lie dormant in the corpses that they have killed, and wait there for as long as 5 centuries. If you dig a tunnel and run into Plague Cemetery, touch the old bones, it doesn't matter what language you used to speak, what you used to believe in. It's all good grist for the plague mill. And the former Sokolony line, slicing the metro in half, had long ago become the Red Line. It wasn't called that for its color, but for its creed. A unique experiment, building communism on one metro line. The formula was the same, Soviet power plus the electrification of the entire line. Plus, of course, the other variables of this equation, which are not actually variables at all, no matter how much time may have passed. Some kinds of corpses can be spiritualer than the living. I can't go to the Reich. Artyom shook his head. No way. Cross out Chekhov. Homer gave him a quizzical look. It's the shortest route, after all, from Chekhov to Tver, and then the next station's Tsvetnoi. Cross it out, I've got problems there. You're Russian, right? White? That's not it. When I was there, Artyom beckoned the girl who was prancing in desperation. Go and have some soup. On me. Don't hang around here. Somehow, he just couldn't speak openly after the conversations in Hansa. He kept imagining he saw sweaters everywhere. It's not important what it is. I won't go through Reich. You know those stinking rats. On the raft on the way here, I could hardly stay on my seat. If there hadn't been 5 of them, 5 makes things a bit tricky. And that hopeless case of ours, too, with the egg. An idiotic situation. Homer stroked the chicken dozing on his knees. I feel sorry for the guy. Today's been a long, old day. Artyom wiped his mouth. Hey, waiter! Eh? The waiter was elderly, grubby, and indifferent. What have you got? Any moonshine? Mushroom, 48%. Yes. Have some, Grandad? Only 50 grams, no more than that, and some sausage, or I'll get squiffy. 100 grams for me. The moonshine arrived. An endless kind of day. How about we drink to that idiot, Tolzek? May he live. May he not haunt my dreams with his egg. Okay, an absolutely idiotic business. Grotesque. And I came close to getting clipped, didn't I? You know, you don't feel anything. Zip. But now I'm thinking, it could all have been over already. There are worse ways to go. It would have suited you for your book. Bang. What a neat little ending, huh? Straight bullet. Do you really think you could have been killed back there? Maybe it would have been for the best, huh? 3 stations from Tsvetnoi? 3 stations. Artyom swigged again. He looked round at the dancer, immersed in her soup, at the sour waiter. Is this really there, this radio operator, huh, Granddad? Where am I going anyways? What for? He's there, Pyotr. Umbach. I think his name was Pyotr Sergeyevich. We've got to know each other. My age. Umbach. Is that an alias? Sounds like he fled from the Reich. From those stinking rats. Would you like another? No. Oh, well, okay then. Thanks, I don't think he's from the Reich. It's just... They almost strung me up there once, Grandad. Huh? But you're not... Or are you? I shot one of their officers. It just happened. Then after that, to keep it short, I was snatched down off the gallows. Could I... Only this much enough. And so they snatched you down, huh? You know, I've been thinking about the way people die. Who gets where in life? I mean, of course, I'm a romantic old fool, but after all, you didn't die today, or then maybe it wasn't your destiny. Your time hasn't come yet. What about it? What about those guys, the lads that the ones I held the bunker against the Reds with, the guys from the Order? Out of my unit, Liaga was the only one left, and he just barely made it. How many of them lost their lives? Ulman, Shlapia, number 10. What about them, for instance? Why were they told to die then? Had they been misbehaving or something? Oh God, no. Right, Granddad. Hey pal, bring us some more of your rot gun. Come on, work. This is the business you mentioned in Slivnov's office, Homer asked cautiously, after waiting for their drinks to be poured and the waiter to move away. It's about Corbett, right? The Reds, head of counterintelligence. He threw all his fighting men against Miller, right? Without any authorization from the party leadership. Someone was knocking regularly against the other side of the plywood wall with the headboard of the bed, or their own head, growing more and more ardent, moaning louder and louder. They said nothing for a while, listened, goggled, and winked at each other. Leaning down across the dwarf table, Artyom gasped out. Counterintelligence. He was a chairman of the KGB, of the Red Line, and with approval or without it, just think about it, the chairman. Anyway, I was in that bunker together with the guys, the entire order. How many of them were there? 50? Against a battalion, and no ordinary battalion. And if the Reds had got their hands on the bunker, there was a depot in there. I heard something. Other tinned food or medicines. Tins, But the kind that, if you open them up, do you think the Reds want chow? They'd always lived without it, and they would have carried on that way. Chemical weapons, tinned food. We fought them off. Took your tinned food up out on the surface. Buried half of our men. That's the whole story, once again, without clinking glasses. Without clinking? And Miller, we've already seen him in a wheelchair. But did you ever meet him before that? Yes, but even in a wheelchair, he's so pugnacious. He's the man who put the order together, on his own, collected the men one at a time, the best. 20 years, and then in one day. I only served a year with him. It was like my family, but for him, and he's an invalid. One arm, his right arm, missing. Can't move his legs. Imagine it. He's in a wheelchair. And as I understand it, you served the order from the time when the Dark Ones were hit by the missiles. You and Miller found those missiles, isn't that right? And if you hadn't found them, the Dark Ones would have devoured the entire metro. After that, he took you into the order. As a hero, right? Let's have another right now, Granddad. On the other side of the wall, someone cried out so loudly that even the chicken woke up. Drowsy film slid off the little berries of Rabia's eyes. She tried to take a wing. Her soul flew up to heaven, said Archim, grabbing at the chicken with a drunken hand. And here's the interesting thing. The route's the same. Look, where can we go now from here? Only to Tsvetnoi, and from there to Tsvetnoi Boulevard. Sorry, but I really don't want to go to the Red Line either. That's the kind of traveling companion you've got. So then it turns out there's only one way. The Turgenev. Even then, along our branch to Gorod. There used to be a deadly tunnel there. Evil. Then to Tretyakov. 2 years ago I walked the same route. Damn it, so much crammed in 2 years. And from Tetrakov to Tetronaya. That time, of course, I was on my way to Polis. Is that the quest I heard about? That time with the Dark Ones. That time with the Dark Ones. Listen, Playmate, why don't you go and have some more soup? Really, I'm married, I think. No, I don't need anything either, thank you, but why? Miller's daughter, she's your wife, isn't she? She is. My wife used to be a sniper. Her daddy trained her, but now these here mushrooms. Where did I put now, the mushroom? And Miller, why did he take a dislike to you? Because she took a liking to me. Granddad, why don't you tell me something instead? What's this business all about, with you and the blondes? I don't understand. You talked about some girl or other. You had something going on. You keep asking me questions, grilling me. Let me ask one. There wasn't anything going on. Nothing. She's like a daughter to me. Last year, I don't have any children of my own, and this young girl, I got attached to her. Like her father or granddaughter, really. Not as... And she was killed. What's her name? Sasha. Her name was Sasha Alexandra. The station was flooded, and everyone... Okay, why don't we drink again, without clinking this time? Pal, hey, another one, and some sausage. The sausage is finished. We've got marinated worms, but they give you... you have to know what you're doing with them. And can we stay here for the night? The room's only rented out with the woman. With the woman? With that one, is it? I'll take her. Hey, take the day off. Go on. Go away. And, well, I tell myself she was killed, that she's gone, but I still see her everywhere anyway. I meet her. I confused her with that appalling hussy. How could I? She was so gentle, such a radiant girl. And she'd only just got out of her station. Her entire life, can you imagine? At the same station, sitting there on that same kind of bicycle with no wheels. For the electricity. Imagining something to herself. She had this little packet that used to have tea in it, with a picture, some mountains or other. Green china, I suppose. Like a crude old woodcut. And that was her whole world, I imagine. That little packet was the whole world for her. But tell me, who's this Zenya? Who's Zenya? Yes, who is he? This Zenka. Then, when you wander off, you start talking to him. A friend of mine, a childhood friend. And what about him? Where is he? Is he always with you? Does he hear you? Where? The same place as that Sasha yours. There's no other way to talk to him. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. I'm the one who didn't mean to. Letting anyone and everyone hear. I won't say anymore. I understand everything. Senny is gone. Full stop. Will you forgive me? No more. Fuck Senya. We're finished with him. Waiter, you persuaded me. Let's have this worm of yours. Only slice it as fine as you can, so I can't tell. I'm sorry about your Sasha. Maybe she ought to have stayed at her station. Maybe all of us ought to have just stayed at our stations, huh? Ever thought of that? Sometimes think that. Stay at home, don't go anywhere. Grow mushrooms. Though Xenia stayed, and what came of that? What I say is, I used to be an engine driver in the metro, a genuine metro engine driver, yes. And I have this theory, a kind of simile, if you will. If you switch those, if you like, that life is like a branch, like the tracks, there are points in them that switch those tracks. And an end of the line, not just one, but a number of them. Some people simply go from here to there, that's it. Some go to the depot, to their final rest. Some go through a secret connecting tunnel and skip across to another branch. That is, there can be lots of ends on the line, but each of us has only one destination, and it's his own. And you have to set all the points on the tracks correctly to end up at precisely your destination, to do what you are actually born to do in this world. Am I expressing myself clearly? And so as I started saying, maybe I'm an old fool, and this is all stupid romantic nonsense, but to die from a stray bullet, or not to get anywhere at all that's not for you, Artyom. That's what I think. That's not your point of destination. You've got a different one somewhere. That sounds good, all right. Artyom let out his breath. And which line did you work on? Where was your point? Me? Homer downed another shot. I was on the circle line. Artyom pulled a wry face. He winked at the old man. That's funny, but the worm's not too bad if you don't know what it is. I won't have any. But I will. I'll tell you what, Granddad. I've met people who spoke to me about life and fate, about destiny, bullshit garbage. Got that? There isn't any, just empty tunnels, and the wind blowing through them. That's all. He scooped the remains of the worm into his stomach and got up on an airy, light, unsteady legs. I'll go take a piss. He fell out of one little box of room into another, behind the plywood, and everything changed. Before, there was a bar with a pole and a poor wretch in a body stalking, a ceiling 2 meters high, and now there was a walk-through space, a corridor, with mattresses scattered about in it, and naked people fumbling about on the mattresses, some taking their time, some frenziedly bumping against each other, trying to find a foothold, thrusting out their bare heels, groping for firm ground with them. Walls papered with pages out of porn magazines, faded and stale, a ceiling too low to straighten up. He staggered on. A huge belly covered in curly hairs, but no hair at all left on the head, striped suspenders sitting on a sagging sofa, with a nymph on each knee, and walls covered in this snug, cozy wallpaper, like there is up on the surface in the abandoned apartments. He's stroking the girls' bare backs. They arch them like cats. One of them kisses the other. The fat shudders and shakes. He grabs one of them by the back of the neck, in a different way, crudely. The light goes out. Grope on. Where's the John here? Farther along. A grand piano tinkling, a genuine grand, and right there on the lid they've laid a corpulent lady, one hindquarter to the right, the other to the left. The lady was squealing shrilly, and the man in a denim jacket is beavering away diligently, a lean backside with dimples, submerged in the meaty opulence. The ceiling's swaying. What's that drawn on the ceiling? No, got to move on. 3 men in black uniforms that say they were made for railway workers in the old world, but which have found new owners in the new world too. 3-legged spiders and sleeves, black in a white circle, the triumvirate of Chekhov, Tver, and Pushkin. Precisely. This place is the only one stretch of track away from them. They come here every day, probably. Every night. Right there, standing. He's hiked up her skirt, dropped his trousers. She's biting her lip, enduring it. Another 2 in the queue, getting ready. Discipline. The piano can still be heard there. and this man in black seems to be following the rhythm. 2 ways out, at once to the right and to the left. Where? And then back to basics without any frills again. Zero decor, bodies lined up side by side like a ditch full of people who had been shot, and stirring as feebly as the ones who weren't finished off. Dope fumes eddying the air, creeping through the cracks from a room to tickle people's nostrils next door. The fumes get into his eyes, his lungs, his head, his heart, on farther and farther. Where has he come from, this Artyom? How is he going to get back there? Straight ahead or left? There's a devil with his backside flogged raw, and look at that broad-shouldered wench working him over. Where did they get that underwear from? My God, take it off corpses up on the surface, do they? Really, good quality underwear, imported. A boy dresses a girl moving toward Artyom, wiping his whips with the hem of his dress, but he's got a mustache, like in a circus freak show, the bearded woman. There used to be a circus here, didn't there? Directly above the station, the famous old circus on Tsvetnoi Boulevard. And yet another door. Maybe it's here. They must have one somewhere here. Some kind of feast, in carnival masks. That is, they wanted them to be carnival masks. Did they draw them themselves, then? Could it be the place that the girl boy escaped from? A girl gets up to meet him, frail and elegant, and completely only hiding something with her hand. Something in her hand, reaching for her throat, feeling at something there. Sit down, don't go away, stay a while. I've got a mushroom on ya. He fumbled for the mushroom in his pocket and clutched it like an amulet. You're funny. Where's your... I've got to go, got to. Over there, that way, and then come back to me, please. But no, he didn't go back there. He got lost. And then he feels tired, and there's some kind of table, and men around the table, and girls under the table, and he feels sick, and doesn't have the strength to walk any farther down. He sits down. The ceiling spinning, a proof that the entire universe spins around the earth. They bring one out. She's naked. They lash her across her bound arms. The others exchange glances and clap. Don't you dare! Artyom got halfway up as far as he could. Who are you, huh? Don't you dare humiliate her. He dashed to beat his way past, but they caught him and held him. She wants to. Who's forcing her? We feed her. Dimwit. That's the girl shouting. Get lost. I'm working. Give it to her hard. Come on, no pity, she begs. That's her begging them. And you, don't you dare. You don't. You don't want to. She doesn't want to. She just hasn't got any choice. Where else can she go? Smart ass. And all of us, where can we go? Lash away, and now across the tits. Sit down, have a drink with us. A stalker. You a stalker? I won't, not with you. I won't, don't touch her. You're worse than animals, all of you. Where can you go? I know where. And where's that, huh? To search for where other people have survived. Search. Leave this cursed place. What are we turning into? Why you make me? A stalker, a dreamer. Did you hear that? Go up on top. Have you seen the back of your head? You're going bald, brother. And you want us to follow you, huh? Well, that's good. That's sweet. What can we do here in the metro? We'll degenerate. People with 2 heads will be born. People with no fingers, hunchbacks. People with no eyes will be born. Slime instead of eyes. 1 out of 3 with cancer, goiter. Just go and count up how many have goiter. Well, you still know how to count. Your children won't know how to do anything. You whip girls to amuse yourselves, but what next? At Mendeleev. It's all over, finished. They're cavemen. In 20 years. Cavemen. Hang on there, stalker. You're talking good sense there. He's talking good sense, huh? He's our man. And Mendeleev's grand old station, compared to it, this brothel. What he says is right. We're degenerating. Our genes are polluted. Let's have a drink, sucker. What's her name? Isn't that right, guys? Our genes are polluted. There's no purity. Pour him a drink. We've got something here with a little secret in it, sucker. Here's to you, to the purity of our genes. Huh? What? There's no other way we can save ourselves. It's dirty work. Hard work. But someone's got to do it. Here's to us. To us! To the Reich! To the Reich! Go to hell. Me drink to fascists. They fought. Our grandfathers. Just look at this Stucker, huh? Getting his dander up. Fascists? You haven't been following the Führer's speeches. There haven't been any fascists around for ages. A change in the general line. Even the elders. Right, all men are brothers. Are you taking this in? If their genes aren't broken, people have to stick together. Against the freaks, because to survive the metro, there's only one way to go. And purity of the genes, salvation of the people, they yelled in chorus. Darwin was a fine boyo for sure. He wasn't going anywhere on these legs. And it has to be done. We have to purge, stalker. You climb up there, keep climbing up. Look for a place where we can live. Go right ahead. And in the meantime, we'll be purging. Everyone has his own job to do. You're okay. Okay, don't distress yourself. Lay into her. He gathered up enough strength to slip down and collapse under the table. And there were naked girls down there too, stuck between the legs of the orators. He puked. He crept out of there on all fours, followed by an applause. Vile brutes. You degenerated into brutes, and me along with you. I'm a vile brute. And then the rooms, and tiny little rooms and cubbyholes started swirling about strangely. Were they real or not? Color, made of cardboard glued together with naked pictures. And naked people climb into his face, and someone naked tries to ride along on him. And all the time, someone's following him, prowling after him, catching up with him. Is it a devil or someone else, or have those merrymakers sent a killer? I wouldn't want to find myself floundering in their noose. Are the ones who condemned me to death 2 years ago with them? Maybe they are, and those steps are still behind me, and I have to move faster. But I'm on all fours, and what if it isn't a killer, after all, but a devil? Satan come to take me. He wants to drag me down 8 meters to the next circle. And what's there? Go away, I don't want you. Where's my mushroom? The mushroom she put in my pocket. Where's my talisman against these evil spirits? God save and protect me. Over here. This way, that's it. We've got the comfortable little sofa here too. A strange hall. What a strange hall. And that chandelier and the ceiling here so high. 4 meters. How can that really be possible? And where's all this light from? What are they offering me? What kind of man is this? No strength left. No strength. Why, the guards in the doorway. Who are they? I beg your pardon, I couldn't help overhearing. I got interested. A stalker, right? You dream of still finding other survivors. Don't believe we've been left here all alone. It's sickening, I understand. Sickening even to imagine that apart from our metro, no one was saved at all. Absolutely nowhere. Who are you? But what do you think? If it suddenly turned out that the world hadn't really been destroyed at all, what do you think people would leave the metro? Abandon everything here. Start making a new life for themselves somewhere else instead. Don't talk nonsense. In an instant, our disaster, tragedy. We've got nowhere to go. All of us. We're stuck slaving away down here, down in the vaults. Come on now. What do you mean, nowhere to go? Look, what a choice there is. There you have the fascists. There you have the communists. There you have any religious sect you like. Just choose a god. Or invent yourself one to suit your own taste. If you like, you can even dig a stairway down into hell. And basically you can settle wherever you like. There are lots of stations. Rescue books if you want to. Develop a taste for human flesh if you like. Fight a war by all means. What else do you need? You think people here are lacking something. And what would that be, I wonder? Take you for instance. Yes, and you can do whatever you like with the women. They're not going to go anywhere. Right, by the way, we've got something set up today. Sasha. Sashenka, come on in. You've got a visitor. Yes, he's unwashed and wild, but you know, don't you? You know what's precisely the kind I'd like to make happy. Come on, little one, be gentle with him. Look what a crust he's grown. He's a man. This man, he's got a splinter of ice in his heart, like little Kai. You have to breathe on his heart, hold him in your hands, or else it won't thaw out. Yes, I want to watch how you caress him, and he caresses you. But you don't have to hurry, we've got time. Kiss him, that's it. And don't forget about me, my little one. No, stop, don't. I've got a mushroom here, and it will protect me. Of course you're the devil, but you must be afraid of mushrooms. All holiness is in them. You're Sasha. Where have I heard that name? Your name's Sasha. Hey, don't you hear me? Hey, is he even breathing at all? Seemed like he was breathing. Try plugging his nose. If he's alive, he'll open his mouth. Hey, brother, how are you? It's definitely him. Something white and cracked, a black crack, like the river Moscow exposed between the banks still covered in snow. And it hurts. It hurts the river so badly when the ice breaks. Melt water. Spring, probably. Turn him over. Why has he got his face stuck in the tiles? The picture changed. No more snow or river to be seen, but the pain still flowing alongside it. Strange. His cheeks scorched, his arms smarting. Someone's eye has manifested itself into the empty void. It looks inside Artyom, just creeping in where it hasn't been invited. It's him! Get up, Artyom! What did you do to him? It's nothing to do with us, he was like that already. And where are his clothes? Where's his jacket and his vest? And what's this on his arm? Bloody hell! I definitely didn't do that, I swear on my own mother. Your mother? Okay, get him up, I say. That's it. Sit him in his back against the wall, and bring him some water. The distance opened up, a corridor, doors, and light at the end. Maybe that was where he ought to go. Could that be where his mother was waiting for him? Mama? Artyom called. You can hear everything, right as rain, coming back from outer space. Mixed worms with moonshine, didn't you? You mixed them, you suicidal freak. And something on top of them as well. How long is it since you lost him? We parted the day before yesterday. A good job you copped on. A corner like this, you could have been lying here for a week, even 6 months. And we didn't abandon our friends in trouble. Here's your 3 cartridges. Hey, your Geomich, that's it. No more of that. Reveille, the bugle's calling. Something clicked and the pain eased off a bit. They changed lenses. First they focused on the world, then the other, selecting the right one. Eventually it all matched up, and outlines became distinct. They adjusted the focus. Who are you? A shit shifter in a leather coat. Nyoka, that's who. Why you? It's strange. Artyom thought excruciatingly. There was something even stranger. This wasn't their Lyoka. Something was missing. Missing the stink. Because when Artyom disappeared in Tsvetnoi Boulevard, Homer wasn't able to find him. Then he ran into Lyoka in the labyrinth, and Lyoka recognized him and helped. Thanks for that. They found him on the 3rd day in a toilet that didn't work, smeared with filth, with no clothes except for his trousers. What happened? He didn't know. Grope around in your memory with your hands, and they don't catch anything. Blackness, like in the tunnel. Is there anything there? Or is there? You can't tell. Maybe it's empty. Or maybe there's someone standing right behind your back, breathing on the back of your head and smiling. Or maybe that isn't a smile, but gaping jaws. You can't see them. My arm. What's wrong with my arm? Artyom touched it and winced. You don't remember that either, Artyom. Homer was alarmed. Not a thing. Your tattoo. What about it? On his forearm it used to say, if not we, then who? But not a single letter was left. They were all covered in something charred and swollen, something red and white oozing out from under it. Every other letter was a little round brand. They burned it out with a cigarette, Lyoka announced. What was it then? Lucia, I'm yours forever? Did you run into a jealous one? The Spartan tattoo. Everyone in the order had one like it. When you were accepted, they marked you with it. A reminder, this is forever. There aren't any ex-members of the order. And Artyom, it was a year since he'd been discharged, but he'd have choked before he would have erased those words. Who could have done that? Homer asked. Artyom touched the cauterized bumps without speaking. It stung, but not as badly as he would have liked. More than one day had gone by. A crust had already started growing. A crust. A table floating in the moonshine like a little rescue raft, and behind the table faces of some kind. And he himself, Artyom, clinging to this raft for a while. But they didn't torture him there. They didn't burn him. They applauded him for something. And after that, it was all some kind of nonsense or other. Or was it maybe a delirious dream? There was no way he could tear his dreams apart from the reality. I don't know. I don't remember. Take the hair of a dog, Lyulka suggested. That'll revive you. And here's a little jacket I've got for you, to replace yours. Artyom wrapped himself in the jacket. It was 2 sizes too big for him. He couldn't make out if it was night or day at Tsvetnoi Boulevard. There was the same soup in the bowl, the irrepressible neighbors still moaning and shaking the ramshackle walls in the same way, and the gluttonous music still stewing in the murky air. A different girl was swinging round the pole in exactly the same way. Artyom took a sip of his hot soup, exactly the same as that exhibition, exactly the same everywhere in the metro, he thought slowly. Why this brand? Who could have done it? Who had dared? The Order had never interfered in the squabbles between the lines. It had always stood above the fighting. Miller despised politics. He wouldn't tolerate any command structure above him. He didn't obey anybody's commands, and he wasn't on anybody's payroll. 20 years ago, he had been the first to swear an oath not to take sides, to defend, without making any exceptions, all the people in the metro, against the kind of threats that no one else would stand up to, or the kind that no one understood yet. The oath of the Order was only administered to a few, and only after long trials and tests. Miller didn't want any army. Former Special Forces soldiers, stalkers, and agents of the Order wandered through the metro, invisible, reconnoitering, remembering, reporting. Miller listened to them. If a threat arose, a genuine, unavoidable threat against the entire metro, then the Order struck a calculated, deadly blow. Because of its small numbers, it couldn't wage open wars, and so Miller tried to destroy the enemy secretly, suddenly, in the embryo, in the cradle. And so it turned out that not many knew about the Order, and everyone who knew was afraid of it. Only now someone hadn't been afraid. But why hadn't they finished off the job? While I was looking for you, I walked into a dead end and saw stained glass pictures there. At Novoslobodskaya, they broke, but here they survived. Homer paused and added, filthy, rotten station. We have to get going. Artyom put down his empty bowl. I am leaving in an hour, Lyulka announced. Going back? You think they'll let you into Hansa? Nah, I thought about it and I realized I've outgrown shit. I'm going to join the Iron Legion. Huh? Artyom turned his eyes toward the broker, red, strained eyes. That was what Lyulka had washed himself off for. I listened to the lads. It's good sense. Until we normal people fling the freaks out into the surface, life here won't be worth living. Anyway, I'm setting off to the Reich with a platoon of volunteers. Remember me kindly. Homer merely blinked moistly. Apparently he was already in the know. What are you, a cretin? Artyom asked Lyulka. A cretin? Is that it? You go to hell. What do you know about the freaks? Do you at least understand what the savage mafia they have right throughout all the metro? And all those bastards at Riga? For dead sure. I'm going back to them in metal-tipped boots. And they have issued these brilliant boots here. I know a thing or two about freaks, Artyom replied. Well, that's it, Lyulka said, as if that was the end of the conversation. Well now, said Artyom. We'll meet up again sometime then. Definitely, Lyulka responded merrily. We'll definitely meet up. He got up and crunched his finger joints happily. It was time to take his life into his own hands. At that point, his glance fell on the chicken pecking at the floor. Maybe we should divide it up then, he suggested. What about Olzhek, by the way? Asked Artyom, suddenly remembering. Snuffed it, the broker declared cheerfully, just as I thought he would. He was still unsteady on his feet, but he didn't want to stay at Tsvetnoi a single second longer than necessary. But forcing his way through Gomorrah with a knapsack and a big bag was even harder than doing it naked. The labyrinth came to life. The kaleidoscope of crummy dives shook itself, settled into a new pattern, and the right way out of there didn't work anymore. And so, instead of the pedestrian passage to Tsvetnoi station, they were jostled out into the canal tracks. Oh, look there now! It's our brother-in-arms, the Stalker! It was spoken to his back. Artyom didn't even think it was meant for him, but a slap on the shoulder made him turn around. 4 men in black uniforms, with 3-legged spiders on the sleeves, were standing there. Artyom didn't recognize them at first, and then it was as if he glanced into the 3-liter jar of salted mushrooms. There was a murky brine, their faces turned toward them. From out of the day before yesterday, this one, hadn't he been sitting at the table? He welcomed Artyom and poured him the poison, a mole on the bridge of his nose. Artyom had peered hard at that mole of his, while the others... But what had they talked about? After that conversation, why were they glad to see him? He ought to bite his throat out. Remember, comrades, that stalker, right? That one who was one of us, and he crawled away like a moon rover. Oh, fancy seeing you again. Artyom hadn't seen such sincere smiles in a long time. Why not come along with us? We need men of principle, the man with the mole suggested. Their collars had Unterofficer's tabs, and behind them a column of riffraff was lined up in threes. Somewhere at the end of it, Artyom glimpsed the former broker as well. He guessed the volunteers, the Iron Legion, for the purity of our genes, but then, hadn't he drunk to that? He ought to have puked then instead. Go get fucked. And he stomped away from them, well out of harm's way, but what he fancied now was that all the inhabitants of the glorious city of Gomorrah were watching him through narrowed eyes, recognizing him and winking at him. What's all this then? He met you just recently down on all fours without any trousers. Why don't you say hello? He remembered. He puked. And he remembered something else too. Someone following him, pursuing him, keeping up with him, somber, contemptuous, adult. While Artyom fled from his disgrace on sprawling hands and knees like a 1-year-old child, and that man wanting something from Artyom. As clammy as a nightmare, but was it a nightmare? And then it occurred to him, there weren't many locals in Gomorrah, were there? All visitors. The fascists were visible. They were in uniform, the fools. But who else was here, in civilian clothes? From Tsvetnoi you could get to Hansa too, and to the Red Line, and to the outlaw settlements at Kitai-Gorod, and from there to anywhere at all. And anyone at all could sail here, any ravenous vermin. Maybe he had gotten off lightly. If only he knew how he'd done it. And by hit and miss, they extricated themselves from the tangle that had arrived at the passage to Tsvetnoi station. Artyom with his bundles, Homer with the chicken. The old man had turned stubborn and refused to kill it and hand it over to the broker volunteer. As Olzhek had prophesied, the chicken wasn't laying anymore. Here there was a surprise, passport control. How Tsvetnoi made its living, Artyom couldn't recall, but obviously not the same way as Tsvetnoi Boulevard did, if it was so choosy. Visas weren't required, but no one was let in without documents. Homer took out a green booklet with an eagle and crown. Nikolai Ivanovich Nikolaev, born 1973. Sebastopol Station, married, struck out. In the laminated photo, he had no beard. He isn't gray, and he's not 40 yet, but recognizable. Artyom put down his load and started rifling through his pockets. It wasn't in his trousers. He turned cold. Not in the jacket, was it? Not in the jacket that had disappeared, along with the mushroom that was supposed to keep Artyom safe and keep his feet planted on the ground. He opened his bundle, suddenly covered in sticky gunk. His fear set the poison he had drunk yesterday flowing out of his pores, and rummaged, thrusting his hand in here and there. Then he freaked out, tugged out the suit, flattened out his second skin on the floor in front of everyone, rifled through the pockets of the bundle, stuck the automatic under it himself, tipped out everything at last and glanced into all corners. Not there. It's not there. Didn't leave it behind, did I? He asked Homer in a numb voice. Did it fall behind the table? Homer shrugged. No passport. He couldn't live in the metro without a passport. He couldn't get into Hansa or Polis or the Red Line. Not into Alexievskaya, and not into any other stations where people at least tried to think about tomorrow. What he could do was starve to death at some barbaric way station or be devoured in a tunnel. People gathered. They gaped with an equal mixture of suspicion and sympathy. Damn the gawkers. There was no time to hide. He had to know the truth. He reached into the knapsack in front of everyone, exposed the green side of the radio set. The border guards had noticed it and frowned. He pulled it out, the radio and the dynamo. People started cackling. Not there, it's not there. Fuck it. Homer was farther off already. He gave a wave of his hand, sidled up to the border guards and started trying to tempt them. But what was there to tempt them with? There were only 1.5 magazines of cartridges left at most. God forbid that they should have to shoot. Refused, growled the lard bucket border post commander. We'll let you through, then the Reds will skin us alive. You won't get any farther than Tsvetnoi Boulevard. How come? The Red Line cut us off yesterday. They entered Tsvetnoi, and they're checking everyone's documents. There's no way into the Red Line, and no way out either. They've had some kind of a dust-up over there, and nobody knows what. So they've entered Tsvetnoi, and from Tsvetnoi to us here. Better not provoke them. They said the Reds are going to take Tsvetnoi. Who says? People say, so it doesn't go to the Reich. They're afraid the fascists will grab it first. They're getting ready. They'll cut off all the stations bordering on the Reich. And when? Artyom froze, motionless over his savaged rucksack. Whatever, go and ask them. They can do it at any moment, if the story's already leaked out. We've got to. Artyom started angrily and nervously stuffing back the dynamo, the radio set, and all this damn junk. We've got to. Come here, Granddad. You go on alone to Tsvetnoi. You've got a passport. You've got kind eyes and a beard like Father Christmas. You've got a passport. You've got an idiotic chicken. They won't touch you. I'll go over the top, across the surface. We'll meet there. And Tsvetnoi, if the Reds don't take it first. But if they do... Homer watched, perplexed as Artyom spoke. He nodded. What else was there left to do? But if I only hadn't decided back then for Olzhek, for the good of his health, Artyom muttered, glancing in loathing at the chicken as he packed the final things into the bundle. And it was all a fucking waste of time anyway. A goner. Fuck it. He mounted his rider on his shoulders and went back to the border guards, red-faced and heated. His condition actually seemed improving by his anger. Where's their way up here? Where can I get up on top? What is there, a stairway, an escalator? The border post commander shook his head almost regretfully. A stalker, right? There isn't any way up here. It was demolished ages ago. Who needs to go wandering up there? Those floozies up theirs. What about you? On Tsvetnoi, is there any way? It's sealed off. Just what kind of people are you? Artyom bellowed in a fury. Haven't you got any use for the surface at all? The border post commander didn't even bother to reply. He turned his well-fed backside toward Artyom. His trousers were splitting. To hell with you. Don't you come, the wise guy, with me. Artyom inflated his chest, tried to calm down. He ran and ran through the labyrinth, and the way out seemed to be just ahead already, but suddenly all the corridors ended in dead cells, and behind him the little bridges had bounded across, had all gone crashing down into the abyss. Where could he go now? They cornered him. Artyom, the old man touched him. What if we go through the Reich after all, huh? To Chekhov. Then we only have to get to Tverskaya. And there's already Tsvetnoi. We can even reach it today if everything goes smoothly. There's nowhere else you can go. Artyom didn't say anything. He clammed up like an oyster. He kept on and rubbing his neck. His throat felt rough and scratchy. Not too late, are we? The under-officer with the mole, he smiled genially. We were expecting you. Artyom hesitated, looking over the column. He should tack himself onto the tail end of it now. I, don't have any documents. Do you have people into this legion of yours without documents? And I'll tell you right away, this is a stalker scare, plus a radio, so there won't be any questions afterwards. We accept men without documents just fine, the hunter assured him. You'll get to rewrite your biography from scratch anyway. Who's bothered about who the heroes of the Reich were beforehand? Thank you. That was Chapter 7 of Metro 2035, titled Tsvetnoi Boulevard. Thank you for listening, and good night.